everybody. Welcome to our second marketing clinic. It's Judy Carr here, and I'm joined by the fabulous Abigail Jones, who's our content marketing executive.
Hello.
Good morning, Abby. And today we're going to be talking about repurposing content. But before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to those people who are joining us for the second time, and also for everyone who completed the survey last week to give us some feedback, and overwhelmingly it was positive. Apparently my lipstick was an issue, so I have today hopefully put a little bit more lipstick on, and that will satisfy whoever gave me that wonderful feedback, and I'm pretty sure I know who it is. So today we're going to be talking about repurposing, and the reason why we chose repurposing for this second marketing clinic was sometimes we just really struggle to come up with new ideas, and the reality is you don't have to come up with new ideas. You just have to look at the stuff that you've already written and has already proven to be really successful with your audience, and just try it out in a different format. So today we're going to have a look at the benefits of content repurposing, the process of repurposing content, and the different content formats. So we will also provide this presentation plus the link, or actually we'll just provide the link to the webinar in an EDM to you for all the participants, and also to those who haven't, well, they won't hear this message, will they, if they haven't bothered to tune in, but I'm sure they're all very busy, and but we'll be sending that out to them as well if you know anybody. All right, let's start with a quote, which is create less, promote more. And this is even something that we've started to do in our own business. We've got loads and loads and loads of content, and we decided just recently that we were going to spend a little bit more time on looking at what we've already got and promoting that in different ways. So we've already introduced the beautiful Abby. So here's why I love repurposing. You can turn one round of ideas into multiple pieces of content, and that saves you time and also lowers your marketing costs. It also allows you to focus on different aspects of a theme or an idea or something like an event or something about your product. And also some people are really visual and some are readers. So from the repurposing point of view, if you've got a blog and you can take some points out of that and make it into a video or make it into an infographic, it's going to suit some people who are really visual much better. You can also reach a new audience. We've really got this thing in our head that once you promote something, everybody's seen it, and so you only ever have to do it once. Well, it's actually not the case. It's a bit like, which I'm sure all the parents over Easter have realised, that you have to tell your kids once, you have to tell them twice, you have to tell them 3 times, and content's a little bit like that. Repurposing also helps with cross promotion. It's really good for SEO, and multiple pieces of content around the same topic can generate additional opportunities to target a desired keyword. So that's a really important factor in terms of giving your SEO a boost. It can also reinforce your message. Repetition, it's an essential part of sending a message that sinks in. And also it helps you gain extra authority. So publishing content in a variety of places on a single topic can really help raise your profile within the industry. So whether it's within your industry or whether it's within your target market audience, and it can actually make people trust you more if you've got it reinforcing in multiple platforms. So let's move on to the starting place. And I presume that you all know your target audience, so I won't go into that. But if you've created multiple personas to attract different target segments to your business, then you can use this as an opportunity to tailor the content to those particular market segments and do a bit of a test with your repurposing for a particular segment. So for ease of everything, we always use first home buyers. If you've got a huge amount of people on your database, or if that's your major target audience, have a look at your existing content and see what you can do to tailor it to the first home buyer market, just as a starting point. A second starting point is start with the best performing piece of content. So if you've had something that's been a real winner, then start there, because it'll make you feel good and you'll know that it's an easy place to start and everyone already likes it. Then see if you've got something more to say on the topic. Brainstorm the idea from different angles. And this is a good thing that you can also use with your colleagues or your project team, is say to them, look, we've already shared this thing on first home buyer finance. Have you got any other ideas or other angles? Think about the ways that you can bring it to life, and we're really going to be talking about that a bit later on, and then identify the most appropriate platform to share it with. So apparently you can all see the next slides, and one day I am going to get this absolutely perfect, and today might be that day. Ooh. So let's go. Abby, can you just run us through the different types of content? And for those people that joined us last week, we had a bit of a chat about this.
Yeah, no worries. So last week we sort of touched on the different types of content, and it can be really easy to get overwhelmed when it comes to content marketing, because there are just so many different types of content to choose from. But what's really important to understand is that not every single type of content is going to suit your brand and your customers. So I'm going to run through, it's about 15 different types of content that we're going to run through today, but not all of them are going to be suitable for you and your brand and your customers. So just really hone in on the ones that you think are going to be really valuable. So we're going to start off with the blog like we did in last week's webinar. And a blog is a good place to start because it's versatile, it's easy to digest, easy to update. It's housed on your website, so that helps with getting a flow of traffic to your website. You can incorporate SEO strategies into your blog, which will help you to rank higher on Google. And you can also activate comments, so you can get good and bad feedback, and you can participate on other people's blogs and sort of build a rapport or a repertoire within your industry. Some things to note about blogs is that there are some key elements that you really need to master. So you need to make sure that you're using really catchy headlines. You really need to focus on the problem that your customers are facing. So you need to focus on identifying that problem and also solving it during the blog. Keep sentences short as much as you can, and use bullet points wherever possible, because people like to just know the point of the blog straight away, or even using subtitles or subheadings is a really good idea. It's really important to edit and proofread, and when you think you're done, edit and proofread again. And once again, keeping it short, so 350 words max. Sometimes if you're really delving into a specific topic, you might want to include more, but if there's a chance to eliminate words or eliminate a paragraph, you really want to take that opportunity. You want to always close with a call to action, so you can hyperlink to wherever you want your readers to go to next, or just shout out advise them what their next step should be once they've read your blog. It's also a really good idea to think about how you can turn your blogs into a bigger piece of content. So if you have multiple blogs that talk about a similar topic, you can group them together to create a mini guide that can then be turned into a download. And that's a really valuable piece of content for your customers. And you also want to be sure that you're tracking visits, unique visitors, page views, the time spent on the site, how many people signed up to your newsletter after reading your blogs. You need to be checking all of those little factors, and that's really going to help you determine what works well for your blogs and what doesn't. The next type of content is an e-newsletter or an EDM. So I'm fairly certain we all know what these are, but essentially they're permission-based emails that you're going to be sending out to your database. And the main point of having an e-newsletter is for regular communication for current and future customers. So you want to make sure that you set up a dedicated time and schedule for sending out your EDMs. So whether that's sending out once a month and you send it out on the first Tuesday of every month, or whether that's once a fortnight or once a week, it's up to you to decide what your schedule looks like, but keeping that consistent so that your customers can expect that content is really important. It's also a really good vehicle for promoting other content. So sending out EDMs about your webinars like we have today, or sending out EDMs about a new blog that's gone up, or an ebook that you've released, or an event that's coming up. EDMs are really great for promoting all of the valuable content that you have. Next is a white paper. So it's a topical report that's quite meaty, and it's a white paper really delves into a complex problem or a complex issue that really requires a lot of explanation. And this is a really good piece of content for establishing thought leadership and being a leader within your industry. Next, you have an article, and there's a lot of confusion between the difference between articles and blogs. And the difference is that an article is much more objective. So it doesn't have a personality or a distinct point of view. It's very objective and shows both sides of the argument, and it's very factual. Next is an ebook. So an ebook is a large report essentially, and that presents complex information in a visually attractive and reader-friendly way. So you really want to think visually when you're thinking about an ebook. You want it to have bullet points, you want it to have graphs, you want it to have imagery and infographics. You also want to make sure you end with a solid call to action, and you want to link somewhere in your ebook, pretty much on every page. So whether it's linking back to your website or linking to a different ebook or linking to a blog, you always want to make sure you're linking somewhere within the pages of your ebook. Case studies. So these can be written case studies, or they can also be video, and both forms work really well for case studies. Essentially, you are telling a first-person narrative of something that was successful, and it's based on real-life events. And because it's real life, and because it's about your brand and something that your brand did successfully, it really helps to build credibility and trust for your services and your performance. It's really good to follow the format of challenge, solutions, results. And make sure that you're using direct quotes from your clients, because that's going to add credibility and add more emotion as well into your case study. And then these can be shared online everywhere. So EDMs, socials, website, these can be shared in a manner of ways. Next is testimonial. And testimonials can also be written, or they can be videoed. And essentially that's just a quote from your clients, coming straight from your client. So it's really important that testimonials are specific. So it really gets to the who, what, when, where, and whys of the situation. And testimonials are effective, like I said before, written or in video. So you want to think, when you're getting testimonials, you want to have a quote, you want to push it out in a social post, you want to push it out in a blog, and if you can, you also want to push it out in a video. Then you have a webinar like what we're doing today. And essentially, if you are ever in a situation where you're going to be doing a presentation or you're going to be hosting a workshop, essentially you can just record your presentation or your workshop and put it online. It doesn't have to be a live webinar like what we're doing today. It can be pre-recorded, and people can download that pre-recording and tune in at their own time.
Do you think perhaps we should pre-record this, and then I wouldn't make so many mistakes in how I share this?
It's a possibility.
All right, where are we up to? Oh, my favourite.
Yes.
Are we back on webinar?
That's okay. I think I pretty much covered webinar.
Right.
Video, this is a huge favorite of Property Republic's. And we are big believers that any brand can use video, because video doesn't have to be a professionally produced work of art. It can be raw and it can be authentic and it can be unedited. And it really depends on the platform that you're posting videos to. So if you want to post on your website or on YouTube, then you might want to think about having more of a professionally produced video. But if you really want to engage with people on social media, raw, behind the scenes, unedited, face to camera with your iPhone videos, they perform so well. And we like to follow the, we like to follow the belief that the mantra that practice is better than perfection. So you don't have to be perfect at video, just like we're not perfect at webinars, but just getting on there and doing it and posting it is amazing. And your customers really want to see behind the scenes. They really want to see what's going on when they're not there to see it themselves. So video, video, video all the way. Then you have a custom print magazine. So this is pretty much showcasing everything that you specialize in, and you send it to prospects and customers. And you can even use them as giveaways at education sessions.
We have a custom magazine, don't we, Abby, that we do twice a year?
Yes, we do.
And we decided to do that really because the first point, it's a great way to not bypass the gatekeeper so much, but it was something that was really different. Everybody else was sending out EDMs and things like that, and we just decided, okay, we're going to just be a little bit different and do it as a magazine.
Then you have a print newsletter. So this is generally like a one page or a double-sided page. And it's meant for rapid consumption. So it just needs to be attention grabbing, get directly to the point, and it just needs to be visually appealing as well. And the production quality matters heaps when it comes to giving out this sort of content. Then we have a print newsletter. So then we have a digital magazine. So this is a hybrid between a traditional magazine and a really fancy PDF. So in a digital magazine, you're going to think about putting in lots of links, putting in interactive content in there. So it could be an audio file that people listen to when they're on your magazine, or it could be a video that they can watch, and it sits within your magazine. And you really want to think about all the ways you can share your digital magazine. So once again, sending it out in EDMs, social posts. Then you have an e-learning series. So this is just like having a school, I guess. You have a curriculum of educational content that's hosted online, and that can be done in a variety of mediums. So that could be audio, it could be video, it could be slideshows, it could be written content, like sort of like a blog that they follow through, or a list. And if that is something you do want to delve into, you really need to think about catering for everybody's learning types. Then you have a podcast. So that's an audio file that's around 5 to 30 minutes long. And what works really well with podcasts is developing a theme. So you want to think about an angle or a theme that you can take for the entirety of your podcast series, and you really want to stick to it. And you also want to create a schedule and really stick to that schedule, so your fans can know when to expect your podcast and tune in. An industry ranking system. And these work because people love lists. So essentially it's just a pre-assembled best of list that ranks people within a given topic area. And because it's a list and because it's a ranking system, it ranks high in search engines because of the listing and the keywords that you're going to be using. So this just helps to identify you as an industry expert, and it's a helpful reference tool for your customers.
When we were putting this together, Abby, one of the things, I was thinking about one of the things about lists was that you could also do, if you're a builder, you could do our top 10 bathrooms or our top 10 kitchens, or if you're a property developer, you could say the top 10 places to visit close to our project. So it doesn't have to be, have any science behind it. It can just be something that you make up.
Definitely.
Okay,
Then
you're okay for me to...
Yeah, next page. Branded content tools. So this is just gathering information from prospects and customers and producing a customized analysis, assessment, report, or plan. So if you're going to delve into this, something you'll need is a coordinated launch strategy with widespread distribution and publicity. And you want to make it easy for your users to share this application. And of course, you're going to need to test it and test it and test it over and over again before it gets released.
Can I just butt in about something about apps? I've worked with lots of developers, and they sort of, and there's always someone who goes, oh, we need an app. Yep. And they they get an app and they launch the app, and then they forget to constantly tell everybody to use their app. So if you're going to create an app for maybe a walking trail around your project, or somewhere where your customers can go and look and find information about the project, or access design guide, or whatever it happens to be, you need to tell people constantly. Otherwise, it is a huge waste of money.
Very good point.
Carry on.
Next is an infographic. So infographics can be standalone in that you just post an infographic to your website and that can be downloaded, or these can also be integrated into other content forms such as a blog or an ebook or a guide. So essentially it's taking written content or figures and numbers and statistics and turning it into something that's much more entertaining to digest. Then there's online survey research. So essentially that's just polling the industry on a topic. So for example, customer experience benchmark study. So you need to think about, what do C-suite executives want to know? And think of some really compelling questions that people want to know and they don't have the answers to. And you've got the answers because you've done the poll with all of the recipients. So you also need to make sure that with polls, you're promoting that heaps as well, because you want as much involvement as possible. So promoting it as much as possible on social, emails, LinkedIn, and keeping it short. So you want it definitely to be under 10 questions, or the likelihood is that people won't complete the poll. And then there's user-generated content as the final one. And essentially, user-generated content is any content, whether it's images, text, videos, that have been posted by your customers. And it's on online platforms such as social media. So essentially, if you have an event and people go to your event and they take photos at your event and then they post those photos, that's user-generated content. So it's really good for showing off your authenticity and showing off a sense of community and getting community engagement. Generally, it works best if you're offering a reward or if you're having a competition. So if you're hosting a competition for people who attended your event to post their photos with a hashtag and tagging your handle, then the top 3 photos will win a prize of some sort.
Thank you, Abby.
No worries.
We're going to take you through 3 examples of what we think that you can do with a brochure, what you can do in an event, and what you can do with just some information about your community or your product. So we're going to start with the brochure. The brochure is always the first thing that we all do when we start a new brand or a new estate, or maybe a new display village. And I just thought, okay, well, we all have to do that piece of work. What can we take from that to repurpose? So in order to do this, I need to put my glasses on. So I broke it down into the vision of the project, talk about the developer, the location, who your partners are, the master plan, some project initiatives, and what's happening in the community, or what your community activities that you're going to do. And then I sort of said, okay, well, we'll break it up into blog, a video, an infographic, an ebook, slide share, and some mini guide. You can then make that even further about, you can put in social posts and all sorts of other things in there, but I didn't want to overcomplicate it. But you can see by this that you've got a piece of content that you've already done. You've had it probably professionally written by a content writer, and this is how many pieces of content you can get from it. And the reason why we tend to forget this, we tend to get the brochure and you can download it on the website, or we hand it out at point of sale, but we need to reinforce those messages constantly. And it's not just once. You need to, from a blog, for example, about, let's say, the location. So let's just say we write a blog about public transport. From that, there's probably a posts about train travel or bus connection or walkability routes or all sorts of things like that, that if you broke it up into those three things, a blog, a video and an infographic, then times that by another 3 and you've got 9 pieces of content and different ways that you can post about it. So it's really important to understand that you don't just tell the people once, you tell them twice, 3 times. So that's just a quick example of something that you could do with your brochure. Now, Abby's going to take us through what you could do with an event, for example.
I almost started talking with my microphone on mute. So, with an event, so much effort goes into planning the event, and it's so much time, effort, money goes in, and you really don't want to waste all of the content opportunities that you have. So it's likely that the main content types you'll have from your event are blogs, videos, social posts, and EDMs. And it's really good ahead of time to allocate and organize content responsibilities. So we've done it here as pre-event, during the event, and post-event. So before the event, you're going to want to announce the event, which can be done in a blog, in a video, which can also be posted to your blog, and that can also be posted to your social pages and can also be sent to your database in an EDM. You're going to want to tag your suppliers, stakeholders, and stall holders. You're going to introduce the activities that are going to be going on at your event. You're going to be sending out reminders, so a month before, 2 weeks before, 1 week before, 3 days before, 1 day before, and on the day. And then you're also going to have a countdown. And Instagram Stories actually has a countdown function that you can harness here as well. But as you can see, in the pre-event stage, blog, video, social post, a story on your Instagram or your Facebook, and also an EDM is ticked for almost every single one of them. So that's 4 separate pieces of content per topic. Then during the event, there's behind the scenes footage when you're setting up all of the stalls and setting up their activities and entertainment. You can have a photo booth where people take photos and they can post them with a specific hashtag. There's user-generated content, which is something I touched on before, where people come to your event and take photos, and then you encourage them to share them with a specific hashtag. And then that can be included in a competition where they win a prize. And then you can also provide content to your suppliers to share. So if you've hired a photographer or a videographer, and in those photos and videos there are items from your stall holders, from your suppliers, from your stakeholders, share those with your suppliers and stall holders, and then they can share that content. So you also gain access to their followers. And then after the event, of course, you can post all of the images taken at your event in an image gallery on socials, in an EDM, in a blog. You're going to want to thank all of the attendees who came to your event, again in a blog, in social posts, and in an EDM. And then you can continue to share those photos from your event in a Throwback Thursday post, and that can go on for months.
Thanks, Abby. And our final example is if you've got an existing community, and if you're a builder, you could actually break this down into the type of home, single or double story homes, you could break it down into location or into first-time buyer homes, upgrader homes, things like that. So we'll just use this as an example. So I thought about an existing new home community, and I thought, well, everyone's going to have existing amenity, and let's say they've got parks. So for parks, you could do something like summer recipes, which could be in a blog. You could create videos that people have sent images of their recipe that they have made. You could make it into a mini guide, which is essentially a little recipe book, and you get loads of user-generated content with people making their summer recipe. Then you could have summer sounds, which we use Spotify quite a lot, and then you make a playlist from the recommendations from your community. You could do a GoPro run through, say, and you're writing it in a blog that's got a video. You could do a parks fact sheet, your guide to our parks, which could be a blog, an ebook, a mini guide. We could do something on shops with tips from the community, which is user-generated content, or a guide to the local shops. If you're thinking about future amenity, you've got a fact sheet for schools, which gives you a blog, a video, an infographic, an ebook, a mini guide, etc. I won't go through the whole thing, but I just felt that we do so many of these things. Like we have these amazing parks, and we have this future amenity, and we have a lot of community activities, and there's so much going on around us, and we write about it once. But really, if you look at a model like this, you can get, I don't know how many pieces of content there. You probably get about 60 or 70 pieces of content from information and things that you already know about. So we're coming to 12:30 if we've not already gone past it. And here's our final word for this week. All we want you to do is start. Allocate some time to do it. And, you know, feel free to use these templates that we have. And also go and talk to others in your business for ideas. You don't have to go it alone. And please plagiarize if you want to. I don't care. All right. So next week for our marketing clinic, we're going to be talking about writing effective online content. So Abby's going to lead this one because she is the content writing guru. And we hope to see you next Tuesday, the 21st of April at 12. Look out for our EDM that you'll receive shortly with the link to this webinar and also to our survey. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Bye.